Isaiah chapter 40, and we take a reading, verses 28 to 31. It says, Hast thou not known, hast thou not heard, that the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, faints not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. He gives power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. All right, that is the word of the Lord from the book of Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 40. All right, a beautiful promise there, which we are all very familiar with. And today, as we read that scripture, let's put it on one hand, because God wants to speak to us on this subject titled Mighty Through God. Mighty Through God. All right. When we think about mightiness, or what it means to be mighty, I want to believe we will very quickly envision attributes like strength. We see somebody who is strong. We see somebody who is powerful. We think about somebody who is very influential, and that cuts across different spheres of life. When you think about the high and the mighty, we think about people who have maybe a level of physical strength, but we know that being mighty transcends just physical strength. I've seen people who have got big physique and, very muscular, but they really don't exert so much authority in their domain. And the Yorubas have a way, in my local dialect, we have a way of saying it. We say just the bigness doesn't open the door. God help me as the way I can translate it. If the door is locked and you think you're big, the doors don't just open to you because of your size. If you haven't got the key, you can't open the door. Whereas a young chap, very small in stature, if he's got a key or she's got a key, she'll get to the door and open it. All right. So when we think about someone who is mighty, we're talking about someone who has strength, somebody who has power, somebody who is influential in all spheres that you can think about in different areas of life. Okay, we're thinking about somebody who has an unwavering mastery in consistently achieving remarkable outcome. People who have mastered the art of success in life. People who can consistently deliver outcomes. They exert their influence and authority in their domain. Their presence is so easily felt. When they cough or when they speak, it just happens. We're talking about people that seem to have, harnessed the art of success, and they can wield influence and power and courage. We're thinking about people who are resilient, people who are determined and self-disciplined, and people who have business acumen, and talking about people who have leadership skills, and people who are healthy even. Yeah, because somebody can be mighty when it comes to their health, because they've got things in control. They've got it all, all under proper management. They have a strict regiment that keeps them in shape. They have a mastery when it comes to the things that they put into their mouth. And no matter who you are, you can't convince them otherwise. So they are very well. We're talking about people who have positive mindset, people who have vision about their lives, and even vision for everything, even their pets. Their vision, short-term, medium-term, long-term vision about where they want to be, where they want their family to be, where they want their children to be, the things they want to do, and they are persistent even in navigating this ever-changing world. They know what to do. They're very persistent and skillful in navigating life's challenges and issues. So when you think about all of this and several more, and any way in which you can imagine what being mighty is about, I can very easily admit, and maybe you too, that very often that is not us, that is not me, really. And that's a very honest admission. That is not me. You know, even in parenting, for instance, that's why I said different areas of life. Some people are they're mighty parents. You know, mighty parent not because they they punch their children, but no, they've mastered the art of parenting. You know, they know what to say to their children, to say it. They never lose their cool. You know, they're very patient. That is not some of us. That is not me. You know, patience. My patience can wane. You know, and you know, with some misbehavior in children sometimes, and maybe certain things and trigger us, and we do certain things and we say certain things. Work pressures mount, easily provoked, stress induces certain reactions in our lives. We know there are moments where we don't really show the composure of the mighty man, if you put it that way. Now, mightiness can also signify a life that is not overtaken by temptation or sin. If we put it in the context of that which is spiritual, as we all know it, you can say a mighty brother in the faith, a mighty sister, a mighty man of God, a woman of God. We're thinking about somebody who is so anointed, and maybe we can even say mastered the art of, you know, overcoming sin and temptation. No, they're not easily overtaken by temptation. Their life is marked by perpetual calm and steadfastness, even in the faith. And I'm thinking, for some people as well, mightiness can be in terms of, you know, their financial status. You know, how much they have in their bank accounts, and they're not easily daunted, or they're not going to flinch when bills come in. You know, when emergencies happen, they don't flinch. You know, how much is a bill? That's it, done. That's not some of us. That's not me, obviously. There are bills that will come in, and I will just give a big sigh. Lord, how is this going to happen? I can't do this. I can't do that. But some people are never shaken because they've got the substance. They've got everything that they need. The money power, you know, to face off certain challenges. So they're never flinching. Numerous definitions can exist when we think about mightiness. And I'm thinking not many of us fit into that description if we are honest with ourselves. Because when I compare myself to these ideals, I don't quite see myself aligning. And maybe there are other people as well who would say, Pastor, I also don't see how I align, or how I could say I am mighty. You know, mighty in this, mighty in that. So if I don't fit into this picture, I thought I'm going to very honestly paint a picture to you, and I'm hoping I can make some friends today as I describe what I think about myself. Maybe it can be somebody, and then you can say, hey, we are actually in the same company, and so I know I've got friends. So when I think about myself, not as a mighty person, and somebody say, who are you then? If you think you're not mighty, well, I'll rather think of myself as a runner. My identity sometimes kind of mirrors that of Moses. We know that story in the Bible. Moses, we know his background, how he was raised up, and you know how God made a way for him. He got himself into the house. Well, God took him into the house of Pharaoh. He was raised there, and then one day he did something. He messed up so big, and then the next thing, he began to run because he could no longer just stay in Egypt, because there was one single outburst of anger, and he did a runner. And I think that's me too. You know, how often have I found myself in certain messes that I struggle to clean up beyond me? You've just said that word, and then you're wondering, I've messed up here. And there are places some of us can't go to anymore because we said some words, we've done some things, we are running. You know, certain opportunities we cannot access anymore. Certain relationships that have been fractured because of our missteps. And so we are running. So when we think about some of the issues that face the mighty people, and they can stand to face them and confront them head on, we are running because we know we have done some very big, bad stuff. And so we haven't got what it takes to go face off with those things. We are running. Sometimes when I think about myself, I see myself as a Gideon, one who is hiding. Some of us maybe can relate to it, hiding from the Midianites. When those sudden, overwhelming forces come to terrify us, I don't know what those forces are that could represent the Midianites, but the Bible described Gideon as a man who was hiding, a man of his stature, hiding from the forces tormenting to take his harvest, tormenting to take his family, his children, his business. But he can't fight them, even though he looks physically strong, but he's gone into hiding. Forces that resemble some relentless thorns in our flesh, forces that come to erase our hard-earned progress. They strike so suddenly at our efforts, leaving nothing but ruin in their wake. A tempting distraction that threatens your marriage, maybe even a certain technology that undermines your children's faith, and you know, wow, I've got to double up. I don't even know how to handle these children anymore. And we're hiding, maybe sometimes hiding because we've seen the havoc that these forces have wreaked on some people's lives. Maybe a certain sickness, maybe. So many issues. I'll give us some examples. But we're hiding. I am hiding. I hide. I run. What are those things I run from? What are those things I try to hide from? Even though I should be standing up to face those things. I should be, fighting battles. But I'm running. I'm hiding. Some of us are running from the reality of some of the emotional traumas we faced in our lives, some painful past experiences. We can't face it. If something's happened in our past, that was what Moses was doing. He was running away from his past. Eventually, as we would find, God would take him back to face it. But he just couldn't do it. He ran. What are you running from? Have you got something you are also running from? Maybe a certain loss that is, or an abuse too daunting to confront, and so you rather shine away from the fact that you need to fix it. Maybe grief, maybe loss, maybe somebody that's passed on and you haven't moved on. Maybe a marriage that collapsed and you haven't moved on, and you just go, instead of going to face it and confront it and deal with that issue, you're running from it, you're hiding from it. I do that, if I'm being honest. Maybe for someone it's a certain addiction, the grip of that substance abuse or a behavioral addiction that proves incredibly challenging to break, but you know you need to face it, but you're running from it. You could think the mighty one will face it and say, now let's deal with this addiction head on, but not me. I'm running, I'm hiding. Maybe for somebody it's mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and we are hiding, and we are also hiding it because we're thinking there's a certain stigma around it. Oh, what will people think if they know that I've already hit depression and anxiety? So instead of seeking for help, we're running, we're hiding. For some people, it's some relationship problems that they're running from, personal conflicts that should be addressed. We'd rather run than deal with it. We know how important it is, but we're running. Financial difficulties, maybe. Debt. Some people are hiding it. The amount of debt they've got. Acting like everything is fine. That's not what the mighty do, is it? So if I'm not mighty, who am I? I'm a runner. I'm a hider. Career dissatisfaction for some people, maybe. Health concerns, maybe. What are you running from? What are you hiding from, like Gideon? A man of big stature. A man of big stature like Moses. But when it's caused the mess, he just had to run. Fear, maybe that's what some of us are running from. Anxiety about some personal goals in our lives. Fear of failure. Is that what you're running from? Is that what you're hiding from? Some parenting challenges, maybe. Some of us, it's something to do with aging and mortality, you know. Confronting the fact that you're becoming older is just so difficult for you. And instead of dealing with the issues associated with it, you're running away from it. You're hiding from it. And the list goes on and on. That's who I am. When situations arise in my life, around me, in my home, concerning my children, sometimes my identity looks similar to that of this unpopular shepherd boy, David. In 1 Samuel 17, maybe even before then, very humble shepherd boy from a small tribe, underestimated even by his own family. They didn't think about him when Samuel showed up and said, "There's a king in your house." No, that king couldn't be David. Even his own family underestimated him. That's how I see myself sometimes. It can't be me. No. Not people from my background. And so when this little boy turned up in 1 Samuel 17 to face Goliath, it looked so ridiculous. When the warriors of the world and even the king failed, how could David, who had never experienced war, he'd never trained in the military, how could he step up to the plate? How? That's the way I see myself sometimes. If the high and mighty are struggling, if people who have got connections are struggling, who am I to make a success of it? And people can tell us all kinds of stories about people who have failed doing the same thing in the past. And so if such people have failed, if that sickness has taken some people away, then how am I so confident I'm going to survive it? How could he step up to the plate, armed with a sling and stones? That looks even more bizarre. You know, he didn't even turn up with spears. He tried it on, it just couldn't fit. That made him look even more stupid and foolish. How could you come and confront a fully armored giant with just a sling and stone? Even Goliath couldn't fathom David's audacity and said, "What? Am I a dog?" But you know what? David knew his limitations. He knew who he was, just like I know my limitation, and maybe you. And David didn't deny the fact that it wasn't just him, he couldn't do it. He openly admitted that he was relying on a higher power. But I think that's who some of us are, like that unpopular shepherd boy, you know, burdened by our backgrounds, our race and circumstances, and we consider ourselves unfit for greatness by the world's standard because already our background says, that's not you. Oh yes, indeed, that's not me. That's the reality that my color speaks. You know, somebody like me, a black man, he speaks a lot. Somebody was saying to me, you know, why some parents in a country like this would rather not name their children their, you know, their local name or a name in their dialect, or they won't put that as the first name. They say because it will put them at a disadvantage. The moment they see the name, they know this is from African descent. I say, really? Well, that's the reality. The moment on Oluwale, they know this one, we know where it's coming from. Yeah, that's me. I'm already at a disadvantage. I'm weak. I can't face it. Sometimes I even think about myself, like Simon Peter. I feel like I'm a betrayer, like him, in adversity. I struggle to stand my ground like Peter did struggle to make his stand. I'm like him, someone who easily lost their faith and feared the consequences of openly embracing their faith and declaring their faith. Worried about how their faith might impact their work or relationships. Oh, we think this man is also one of his. What are you talking about? I do not know him. How many times have you and I done that? Worried about how our faith might impact our work or maybe relationships. We hide our convictions. And like Peter, we're following the Lord from afar, hoping not to be exposed as Christians. And deep down, we doubt our ability to endure persecution or champion justice and righteousness. Yet, we can't hide forever. Because soon, somebody will find us out and say, I think he's a Christian. But when they find us out, unfortunately, how many times have we denied knowing the Lord just because we want to preserve our job, secure an education, obtain a visa, the things that we do, the things that we say, the things that we deny the Lord with because we want to protect our livelihood? Like Peter, I feel like that sometimes, so weak. Even though I try to make a boast like Peter did, Lord, that's not me. Jesus said, Peter, look, the enemy desire to have you, to sift you away as wheat, but I've prayed for you. Peter said, Lord, no, I don't know why you even need to pray for me, because wherever you go, I will go. Whatever happens is happening to us together. Jesus said, look, man, before the cock will crow once, you would have denied me 3 times. And at the 3rd time, when the cock crowed, Jesus looked up to him as if to say, I didn't expect better, Peter, because I knew you are not a mighty one. You are weak. I am weak. In the face of persecution and adversity, I am weak. I deny the Lord because I want to protect my livelihood, my job. Sometimes I see myself in the picture the Apostle Paul painted in Romans chapter 7, And I think I'm just as weak as the Apostle Paul expressed. I fit so nicely into those shoes. Struggling, wretched, unable to control my impulses, temptation and sin overpowering us, leading to actions and choices we would rather avoid. It feels like we've lost control, ensnared by a curse. In this moment, we ask the question like the apostle asked, who will deliver me? Who will deliver me? Struggling. I'm a runner like Moses, a hider like Gideon, an unpopular shepherd boy like David, a betrayer like Peter, a weak fellow like the Apostle Paul expressed. And so when I think about me, I just couldn't convince myself that I am mighty. So if somebody says you are weak, I am weak indeed. Because I don't see the signs of a mighty person in me. Because I'm not meant to be. I don't see strength. I see weakness. I see a runner. I see a hider. I see a disadvantaged shepherd boy, a betrayer, a feeble individual. But I'm yearning for change. I want to confront my fears instead of fleeing. But this is just me. Every time I try to face it, I just find myself running, hiding. This is me. And I'm wondering if there's any honest person listening to me today who will say, Pastor, this is me too. This is me under stress. This is me when it comes to facing my past mistakes. This is me running, hiding from certain aspects of my life. Like Peter, I've denied my faith countless times. Is there anyone here today who can say, I want to change? I want to stop running. But I don't know how to. I'm too weak not to run. Too weak not to hide. I'm meant to be fighting for my husband because a certain strange woman came in from somewhere. I want to snatch him away from me. And I know I should be fighting, but I'm hiding. Pastor, I'm running. I'm running. Instead of fighting. I'm running. I should be fighting for my son and daughter. But Pastor, I am running. I am running away. I am running away. I want to make a stand for the Lord in my workplace, but Pastor, I'm hiding. And I just don't know how not to betray the Lord. I've denied him countless times. Is there anyone today who can say, I want to change. I want to stop running. I want to confront my past. I want to cease hiding. I don't want to betray the Lord. I aspire to do what the Lord is asking me to do. I want to do what is right. I want to raise my children lovingly. I want to strengthen my marriage. I want to lead a righteous life. I want to nurture meaningful relationships. I want to achieve success in my endeavors. I want to go back and face the past that has kept me running. Even though it was such a big mess, but I want to go fix it. I want to stop running. I want to face that addiction, that mental health problem. I want to face it, that health situation. I want to stop hiding it. But I am struggling to hold on. Like Gideon, God has blessed me with so much that I can't keep when the Midianites turn up. They take it all away. Because instead of protecting it, standing to protect it, when I hear them coming, I flee. I leave it all to them. They take it away and leave nothing for me. So I have to begin again. And if there's anyone today listening saying, Pastor, this is the weak me, God is saying to you, the Lord is looking you in the eyes today and saying, look, whatever you think about yourself, I don't expect anything better from you because you were weak, as admitted. The Lord is looking at you smiling and saying, I didn't expect anything different because that is who you are. So you've got to stop striving to be strong because you really cannot be strong on your own. You can see it so many times how you have failed being strong and mighty on your own. You just cannot do it. Stop trying. Stop trying. You can't do it on your own. Jesus said it. He said, apart from me, John chapter 15, you can do nothing. So why bother trying when you can't do it without him? Apart from me, you can do nothing. Hannah said it. He said, by strength shall no man prevail. And the Lord is saying to you today, you wouldn't even need me if you were strong. Why would you need me if you were strong? The reason you need me is because you are not strong on your own. You are a runner on your own. You're a hider. You're a betrayer. You're weak. You're just an unpopular, disadvantaged person who has no right to any influence. You can't wield any influence. You haven't got any power. You can't prevail by your strength. And if you wouldn't need me, then you would be strong. But you're not strong because you need me. And I can make you strong if you can surrender your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities, your limitations, your fears, your nightmares, your past, everything you've been running from. If you can give me the things that make you hide. Because you know what? The Lord is not looking for the strong. He's looking for the weak like I am and like you are. He's saying, look, what I need from you actually is not the strength. It's those weaknesses. And you've got to give me those things. And so it's time to cease striving and let God take the lead. You've got to hand your staff and your stammering speech like Moses over to the Lord. When he caught up with Moses in that encounter, Moses said, Lord, not me, not me. I can't go back there. God said, yeah, of course you can't go back there. That's why you ran. 40 years of your life you ran. Because you haven't got what it takes. And he said, but Lord, let's even say you're leading me back. I can't lead the people. Say, yeah, that's why I'm asking you to give me your stammering speech. Because I'm going to turn you into another man. And you're going to go back to Egypt. I'm going to empower you. Not only to confront your own Pharaoh. Not only will you find freedom for yourself, but your life and experiences and stories will liberate others from bondage. That is where God is taking you when you give it to him. He's saying, if you can just hand them over to me, I am going to be mighty through you. I love it in scriptures when the Bible describes, Saul, and the Spirit of God came upon him and he became another man and he was prophesying. And when the Spirit of God left him, he just became an ordinary Saul. He became himself. That's you and I, because he's the one who is mighty in us and through us. Some of us can't believe it that it is just me that I've just prayed for somebody and they were healed, and the next minute I'm back to my ordinary self. Please, can I have a bottle of Coke? God is saying, give it to me. He will infuse your staff with the power to work miracles. He's saying, give me your job. I know it's been the source of the trouble. Is the reason your career is the reason you've been betraying me. So just give it to me. Whatever it is that you've got, that is that weakness, I'm going to infuse it with power. And it's going to work miracles. Because when you entrust your weaknesses to God like Gideon, you will encounter profound experiences that will strengthen your faith and transform your self-perception. That is what God did with Gideon. He needed Gideon to transition into seeing himself differently, not as a hider. It took a couple of encounters with the Lord, but he was available to allow God give him those encounters. He was just following in on. And God allowed him. God will give us plenty of time and space to experience those encounters that will strengthen our faith, to go face the Midianites. And you know what? By the time God was done with Gideon, he began the job in his own household. He destroyed the altar of Baal in his house first, in his father's house. You will no longer see yourself as a forgotten, disadvantaged person, but as a valiant warrior. You will turn up with sling and stone confidently with your lack of qualification. Yeah, you will turn up. Because that's what David said. He said, look, you see sling and stone, but look, I didn't come with sling and stone. David never said he came with sling and stone. That's what Goliath saw. But David said, I've come to you. Unfortunately, you can't see the one I've come with. You're so blind that you only see sling and stone. Some years ago, I turned up in the city of Abuja looking for a place for industrial attachment. Very tough time in my life. Myself and my friend. On a Monday morning, we realized we didn't have a single formal dress to wear to turn up at an interview for an industrial attachment. So we turn up in a native attire on a Monday morning. My friend and I, when we fully dressed, we looked at ourselves and said, who turns up with a native dress in an office, a corporate office, looking for industrial attachment? But we said, you know what? The glory of God covers us. And we turn up like that. We got in and people were like, who are these people? We said, we've turned up for so and so interview. But you know what? We got it. You will turn up in the weakness when you turn it over to the Lord. And He will work the miraculous. People think that's not the way people turn up. That's not the way people do it. But God said, you just give it to me. Give me your 5 loaves and 2 fish and see what I can do with it. Like David, he said, give up your disadvantages. Shed the heavy armor of flesh up. They said, Saul said to him, son, you've got to be fully kitted. This is the way we do it. David tried it all. I'm sorry, I've not tried this one. It's not working. I can't force it. Let me just go with my weakness to the Lord and let's see what He can do. It may not make sense to people, but when you give it to the Lord, it makes sense. God will empower your sling and stone, enabling you to bring down the Goliaths that have oppressed nations, oppressed you. Through Him, you will achieve what the noble, the experienced, the qualified, and the mighty could not. Like Peter, would you give Him your weaknesses and your greatest love? Because that's what Jesus was asking for from Peter. He said, Peter, I know you're weak. You can't do it on your own. I just need your heart. I just need your love. And shortly after, this same Peter was standing, addressing thousands of people. And 3,000 were saved. Soon he became a man who feared nobody. From a hiding Peter following afar off, he had given his weakness and his love to the Lord, and he became mighty through God. You won't fear the repercussions of your faith. You will stand up for justice and righteousness. You will liberate many from the shackles of fear. On your own, you may feel wretched and powerless against sin, but with God, you can find strength to overcome. If you want Him to make you stronger, all you need to do is this, people of God. You've got to turn up. Turn up before Him to hand it over to Him, because you can't give it to Him from the distance. No. You can't give Him your weaknesses from the distance. You've got to turn up. Come near to Him to give it to Him. Hand it over to Him. There has to be a level of closeness. A deep worship to say, Lord, this is who I am. Just break yourself down before Him. Don't care who is there or watching. Be open and naked in worship before Him. And say, Lord, I'm just vulnerable. I am just weak. Without You, I can do nothing. Admit it. Hand it over in the place of worship. In the place of waiting. That's why Isaiah, where we began, says, those who wait shall renew their strength. In the place of waiting in prayer, in fasting, in worship, fostering fellowship, connecting with Him, learning and understanding His word, building your faith. Because as you do, you're learning obedience. Because what you come up with is an instruction. And you've got to be obedient, confident to act on it, to activate the strength, the power, and the influence that flow from his presence. Beloved, this is the path that Moses, Gideon, David, Peter, Paul, and others took. It's what truly mighty men and women molded by God is what they did. Not by power, not by might. And so the apostle said it, that look, whatever battles you're facing, whatever the challenges are, he says the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. And I remember in Hebrews, he says, what more shall I say, for time will fail me to tell of Gideon and of Barak and of Samson and of Jephthah and of David and Samuel, of the prophet, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouth of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword. Great things that they did. But you know what? It says out of weaknesses they were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Why? Because they surrendered and God became mighty through them. And the Lord is saying to you too, I can be mighty through you. I know you're weak, but I can be mighty through you in all areas of your life, everything you have to do. If you just can surrender your pain and your troubles and your past and the challenges you face to me. Would you do that today? Please let us pray.